did we mind the plays this time around? Well, let's see, starting with Vinny DePonto's Mindplay, which is an astonishing show where Mr. DePonto takes sealed envelopes that the audience members had written a one-word memory or thought of what's on their mind. How he manages to deduce these thoughts taken from random audience members is head-scratching. How did he come up with the person's biggest nightmare is chickens invading an island? I know the price of eggs lies heavy on our minds, but really? This isn't just a show about mental agility, but how the brain works in different areas. He also tells a rather touching story about growing up with his beloved grandparents and what their house meant to him. I probably reacted to this show differently than most people. He talked about how things can trigger a memory. Well, my memory was triggered when my BFF from high school died exactly a year ago on April 14th, the night I saw the show, in the exact same theater where I got the message that she had died. So talking about those loss of loved ones really hit home for me. So those people were just astounded. I was just astounded and crying at the same time. But I give this a major happy face.
I went on a different night as Eva, which I'm really happy about because now we get to understand how different our shows may or may not have been. Eva and I are definitely fans of this type of show, having seen Mind Mangler and Stalker within the last year. I connected with magician Vinny DePonto for being vulnerable and also charismatic, and of course, full of surprises. In telling a story of his childhood growing up with his grandparents, I felt that storyline to really resonate with me and my relationship with my grandfather. I did find that he was very long-winded in the delivery of a lot of his tricks. And I guess expecting my mind to be blown, thought we'd jump into that a lot more as opposed to having long setups and a lot of talking. So that part was a little bit of a disappointment for me.
He wasn't just a magician and doing tricks. He was telling an actual story. He was a storyteller. And he just sort of threw in these little bits and pieces, the shtick in between. But to me, the main thing was the story itself. So I got more, I guess, into the story bit, and you got more into the, I guess, the tricks. Although to me, they didn't seem like tricks. To me, they were just so organic and like, oh my God, how did you do that sort of thing?
But yeah, at one point up on the stage, he's making like a shadow of a mouse with a lamp and talking about a fictional story of a mouse taking over a cat's brain. And I don't know, that didn't do anything for me. That just felt like fluff that didn't need to be there.
I guess it depends. If you want to go for a straight like trick show, then maybe it's more my kind of thing than your kind of thing.
I enjoyed the set. Yeah, I thought it was really beautifully built and how he goes from kind of goofy to serious in an instant and jumps back and forth between those moods.
What were some of your audience thoughts? Like I said, we had chicken invading islands. What did you have?
That's interesting. Yeah, so we had one widowed woman who was able to kind of reconnect with her former husband on stage and really have those memories flood her mind, and she was really pleased by that. We had balloons that were kind of thrown across the entire audience. And at the end of it, one woman's holding a balloon. She doesn't speak English. She hands the balloon to her son. The son pops the balloon. Inside the balloon is a piece of paper recapping everything that happened in the show, including that the note will be read by the individual who ended up reading it. So obviously that's a little freaky because how would Vinny have known in advance that this woman wouldn't speak English and would hand the balloon over to her son?
Exactly. That's what I mean. It was more, it was more like, whoa, than, oh, okay, how did he do that? Instead of like, wow, he really is a mind reader. You really felt like he was a mind reader.
Given the elements of surprise throughout the entire show, you may be left thinking, were any of those audience members plants? However, the better way to think of it is, how were those thoughts planted in audience members' minds? And what leading questions or other trickery was used for that to be the case?
Yeah, I kept wondering how I keep saying it, but a chicken invading island. That is just to me mind blowing.
I give this show a happy face. Perfect for anyone who's in for a night of surprise or wants their mind blown.
At La Mama is Robert Lyon's Class Dismissed. It's one of those nonlinear WBE weird but enjoyable plays that makes no sense and is mainly a collection of words that are poetically and incomprehensibly strung together, and I loved it. mainly because the actors were so much fun to watch and the audience members were roped in to help with certain tasks. Be sure and bring a book to donate, and it comes in handy later to participate in the zany surroundings. I was particularly mesmerized by Yorani Del Val Pinheiro for her boundless energy and nonstop choreographic movement. Daniel Irizarry, who directed this, also was the purple-haired professor who drove the shenanigans along in an Irwin Corey sort of way. Pepper Binkley added poetry and made butter from scratch for us to eat with Irish soda bread and honey and very strong rum. This was crazy good fun, and I'm not even going to try and make sense of it. Don't be dismissive of this classy show. Go see it for yourself. Happy face.
Natalie Margolin's all-nighter play is on through May 18th, starring Christine Froseth, Catherine Gallagher, Julia Lester, Havana Rose Liu, and Alia Shalene Scott, with new cast changes coming April 30th.
The new cast changes Anna Sophia Robb and Isa Briones.
All-nighter attempts to capture the frantic energy and emotional churn of a college all-nighter, focusing on 5 students grappling with their final days before graduation. The play's setting, a college library, immediately resonated with me, evoking the familiar late-night study sessions and camaraderie that I am used to. The set design truly shines, creating an authentic backdrop for this quintessential college experience. However, while the ambiance was spot on, the narrative felt less groundbreaking. The core themes, fragility of friendships, hidden insecurities, anxieties surrounding college, they're well-trodden territory. The play tried to explore questions like, what is the true nature of romantic desire? How does one navigate financial uncertainty? Who can you truly trust? Yet the questions felt more like checklist items than organically woven threads in the story. The 5 characters appear to be close friends and roommates. They remain stubbornly two-dimensional. Their individual struggles, while relatable in theory, lack the depth needed to truly engage with the audience, which Eva and I were actually just discussing before. We were trying to do a refresher as to who was who, and the show felt more like it was about the collective friendships than the individual friends within that group. Once the show ended, their stories faded quickly from memory, leaving a sense of fleeting familiarity rather than a lasting impact. Adding to this challenge was the difficulty I had from separating these actors from their previous, more widely recognized television roles, where they similarly played students, whether that's Sex Lives of College Girls or High School Musical, the musical, the series. The play did offer moments of levity with sing-alongs, quirky transitions, which were nice respites from the mounting tension. Ironically, the play's portrayal of the character's struggles to stay focused mirrored my own experience as an audience member. The sheer exhaustion of watching a simulated all-nighter was at times palpable. I did appreciate the realistic portrayal of how easily these characters got sidetracked, mirroring the common struggles of maintaining focus. Ultimately, this show offers a visual, authentic slice of college life, but doesn't quite deliver a narrative that feels memorable or fresh. I give it a mixed face. It's a play that sparks recognition, but leaves one wanting a little more substance.
Oh my gosh, I got a completely different take on this. Maybe because it's too close to you. So if you're still looking at it as college, while to me, I'm looking at it as nostalgia and remembering my theater study group going to the diner. We went to a diner. The state diner at Ithaca College was open 24 hours.
I love State Diner.
Oh, is it still going on? Because yeah, it's true. You went to the same college I did, only many decades later, and just that whole feeling of like, you bond, cramming all this information, and the snacks are very important. That's why we did it in the diner, so we'd have food close by to stimulate our brains. And I just found all these women, their problems, their struggles. I really got into it, and I was like really mesmerized by everything going on, and the twists and turns and to me it was like they looked at it from a different angle than normally these things are looked at. And it's funny because I just recently pulled an all-nighter for something, and I'm like, oh God, I'm not a college student anymore. This is difficult pulling all-nighters, but I really enjoyed this immensely. So unlike you, I'm giving this a happy face.
At Playwrights Horizon, you could see Hold Me in the Water, written and performed by Ryan J. Haddad, directed by Danny Sharon. The disabled gay storyteller, Ryan J. Haddad, tells of his romance with a very handsome man he met at an artist residence. Ryan must wear leg braces and use a special walker to get around. When the artists in residence go to an outing to a beach by the lake, the handsome man is able to perfectly support Ryan in the water. With each encounter, Ryan falls deeper and deeper in love with the other guy. Later in the year, they meet several times in New York City. How far will their relationship develop? And does the handsome man feel as much love for Ryan as Ryan feels for him? Ryan is an excellent storyteller, and this is a compelling romantic story. The blue set with special elevator platform is elegant, and the lighting is admirable. The performance that Eva and I attended was The Mask Wearers, and also had a young woman who translated Ryan's story into ASL, American Sign Language for deaf people. For visually handicapped audience members, Ryan thoughtfully described his costume and the set. This is a well-written and well-performed one-man show. I give it a happy face.
Yes, I totally agree with Marc here. I mean, I just love any schmaltzy romantic story there is. And, and here's the thing. He obviously lives in my neighborhood. He obviously lives in the East Village because he was talking about everything I knew about. I was so familiar with the surrounding storyline, places and things that it lent even more credibility and like I could visualize it, like I had a whole thing going on in my head. And he's on the David Greenspan form of telling stories where he just commands that stage. He knows how to just timing and everything. I absolutely utterly loved it. It just, and it's also thought provoking. He makes you think about things that you don't normally would think about. So I just, like I said, I love this to pieces. I'm giving this a major happy face. Peter Danish's Last Call is an intriguing encounter between two iconic maestros, Herbert von Karajan and Leonard Bernstein, at the Sacher Hotel in Vienna. Their rivalry and admiration mingle as they give way to admonishments, astonishments, and resentments. Two titanic egos crash in the night. They are totally different in styles and tastes when it comes to music, but they do find they can agree on Maria Callas. They both adore her. Of course, I know Leonard Bernstein, but this Herbert von Karajan was an unknown quantity to me, so it was wonderful to learn about him. The musical discussions were fascinating, as I am not fond of classical music, but they made it so exciting. Helen Schneider as Leonard Bernstein captured his arrogant flamboyance, and Luca Zucher as Herbert von Karajan was passionately intense in his devotion to music. A real surprise was Victor Peterson as Michael the waiter, who had a real transformation that will give you the shivers. You will want this last call to last forever. Happy Face Plus.
To a person, every one of them said, Lenny was hilarious. He had a marvelous sense of humor. Korea was hilarious. I never would believe it. I've watched 100 hours of video of Korea. I've never seen a man try to smile or tell a joke. So to hear that he was a cub with a great sense of humor was really interesting. But you know what? I humanized both of them, because I knew them as icons, as these revered figures I'd seen my entire life. But to hear from the players that these guys were pranksters and that they loved singing one another, that really brought a different level to the story.
Joshua Harmon's We Had a World is a memory play with Joshua recalling growing up with an eccentric grandmother, Renee, and an overwrought mother, Ellen, who hates her sister so much they can't be in the same room together. Renee is like Mame, the way she exposes her young grandson to inappropriate movies and art exhibits, and she is very inquisitive. The grandmother sets him on the path of being a playwright by making him read a play before she'd take him. It was not what you would expect a 10-year-old child to particularly understand, and you have to see the play to see what this is. While his grandmother was shaping his young mind, he also reciprocated with conservationist tips to help her save the planet, which meant a lot to him. After building this rosy picture of his grandmother, what was the terrible secret that his mother fostered against Renee? It just shows that when it comes to family, one never knows what lies underneath. Mr. Harmon is very clever, making us love these people in the same way he did until he couldn't anymore. Once he realized the true significance, we can experience the same emotions that he goes through. Of course, it helps enormously when you have this stupendous cast. Andrew Barth Feldman draws us in immediately by addressing us almost conspiratorially as he reveals the interrelationships of his complicated family. Joanna Gleason is so much fun as she dominates the stage and is just so cool that we'd all like to have someone like her in our life. Poor Janine Sorales is forced to play the unglamorous straight woman who cleans up everyone's messes and tries to hold everything together. I just fell in love with all these people that just break your heart in their own special way. Major, major happy face. Simon Stevens has adapted Anton Chekhov's Uncle Vanya into a one-person show for Andrew Scott called Vanya. And it, I'm sorry to say, is a mess. So you have Andrew Scott playing all the roles. He's playing, there's Sonia, who is the niece of Uncle Vanya. And the two of them take care of this estate for Sonia's dad, who is this hoity-toity professor and thinks he's better than everyone and has aches and pains and disrupts the entire household, especially with his new wife, who's this gorgeous creature that Vanya and the doctor fall in love with. Meanwhile, Sonia's madly in love with the doctor. So you have the usual Chekhovian, someone longing for someone they can't have, while the other person is going after something they can't have, and the other person is like, oh no, I can't have this person. I have to get out a gun and do something about this. You know, it's all very dramatic. And basically, Sonia and Vanya were happy to raise money and work the estate, and they're hard workers because they thought her father was this great guy, but then they realized, wait, he's horrible. Oh my God, he's dreadful. So you have all this drama going on. And all this is really exciting because you have all these people interacting. But when it's a one-person play, you do not have that. So you have Andrew Scott doing these weird mannerisms or changing a costume, putting a scarf on or whatever. And then, I mean, at one point, characters are kissing each other. And I'm sorry, trying to kiss yourself is just plain stupid. So I just found it very annoying. The only good part, which I think Bina's going to disagree about, was at least they brought out the humor in it. That was the only good thing, because the thing I love about Chekhov that no one ever does correctly is he's funny. He is very funny until the end, and then you realize, oh my God, human condition is really quite tragic. And also, everything has a specific thing. And, you know, like I was complaining about Streetcar, it needs a paper lantern. Well, in Uncle Vanya, whatever it's called, you need a long table with lots of papers on it for them to work on. Because the thing is, they're always working. That's their whole raison d'etre, is the work. And that's what saves them. Just like Scarlett O'Hara is saved by Tara. They're saved by hard work. But you don't get any of that here. I don't know what if you change the script, change the names, or change whatever. But I just did not like this version at all. I don't know this actor, Andrew Scott. So I was not impressed. And I'm giving this an unhappy face. A little bit of a happy face. Unhappy plus, because I did like the comic part of it. At least they got that right.
I agree with Eva on the confusion of the distinguishing the characters in this play, because I had the same kind of problem. Because you see, he is a his mannerism and his gestures were very, very quick, and there were like no distinction between. Like she said, there was no interaction, so we had to be really, really alert. So when he's playing Helena, I completely lost it because I did not notice the chain somewhere which he touches. Then when he plays Sonia, I kind of like was like, who is Sonia? Who is Michael? I kind of realized because he's bouncing the tennis ball. So all this comic humor, which Eva liked, I did not like, because Chekhov is pretty humorous, but his humor is very intense kind of humor. It is about the human condition. It is about life is not perfect. It is about towards the end of our life, or as we grow older, we always think we have wasted our life. We have always thought that we had the desire for do this and that, and it was never fulfilled. So that's and then there's a seriousness of these things also. So the serious mixed with this kind of everlasting comic situation about the unfulfilled desires and ambitions is tragic comedy. So in this case, Andrew Scott, whom I do like, because I think I saw Mr. Ripley, and he also plays very many evil characters. He's a killer in that movie, but he was fantastic. And I said, this is the first time I was introduced to Andrew Scott, and I was like, wow, who is this actor? But in this play, maybe not his fault, but it's the fault of the playwright. They adapt things, and they change the names of the characters, so they're not very familiar to us. And also, the characters are already written by a classic playwright long time ago. It's very easy to kind of fill it up with your own writing. I have never really liked people who adapt Shakespeare or Ibsen or Beckett, all that, and then they just like take the credit for that. But it just doesn't really work. I want to go see Uncle Vanya with some kind of atmosphere of the farm, of the estate, some kind of atmosphere of samovar, the tea or vodka. I mean, an interaction between the characters. And that's where the language comes in. You have to have back and forth dialogue. Plays are about dialogues. Plays are not about. But he won every possible award on this earth. He got the best reviews. So who am I to say these things? But yes, I am somebody, and I did not really like this kind of format. So because of his acting, I give mixed face.
And I just thought of something, and I think you'll agree with me because we both saw this. And this is the way to do this sort of thing right. If you want to do a one-person show, that's fine. But do it like Sarah Snook did it in The Picture of Dorian Gray, because she was able to change into the character. So you saw each of them. It was most brilliant. We'll talk about it in another show. But that, if you want to see a one-person show doing a show properly, it's Sarah Snook in Picture of Dorian Gray. And Bina, I think you will agree with me on that.
And I really loved it. I agree with you 100%, because they did such a brilliant job. At least, okay, they made movies about it already. They made videos about it already. And she played all those characters in those things. And then this was the superb show about the achievement of high-tech technology. I never felt I always felt there were other people in that show. Always felt the other characters. I never missed Lord Henry. I never missed Basil. I never missed anybody. Here, I never saw any other character. I never saw it. So, I mean, it's not that I do not like one-person shows, but they had the imagination to put other characters already in the play, and then they put them together. And they put them together immaculately. I mean, I was so thrilled, and I forgot my knee pain at that day. It was just like, that is the last show I saw since 2 months already. But this is exactly, I agree with you 100%. They had to do something to make us feel it's Uncle Vanya.
Key & Company presents Adam Guan's All the World's a Stage, which shows the importance of theater in a small, conservative, deeply religious town. The very first song, Saturday Night in a Small Auditorium, had me in tears as it was such a Valentine to theater. We see Ricky in the auditorium, which sets him up as someone who loves theater. He comes to a small conservative religious town to be a math teacher in a high school. He gets into trouble immediately by making a flippant remark about church. Dee Dee, the school secretary, comes to his rescue to smooth things over and explain all the pitfalls to avoid. While Ricky is filling in as a detention teacher, he encounters Sam. She loves the theater like him, and she wants him to coach her in a monologue so that she can win an acting scholarship to college. It is the only way she would be able to afford it. Sam isn't like the rest of the students, and Ricky realizes this and wants to help her. He finds a bookstore to get Sam these Shakespearean sonnets to read for her acting competition. The store is run by Michael, who is out and out. Unlike Ricky, who has to stay closeted if he wants to keep his job and friends, Ricky and Michael take a fancy to each other immediately. Will Ricky ever have the courage to show the world who he really is? Can he help Sam in her competition and struggles if he isn't honest about himself? Will Dee Dee, the helpful secretary, be able to come to terms if she ever finds out the truth about Ricky? And what kind of relationship can last if one is free to be himself no matter the consequences and the other isn't ready to do that yet? This was so beautifully acted and sung with them in their main and chorus parts. This show had me howling and verklempt. You don't want to miss this one. Major happy face, and it's the last show Jonathan Silverstein will be directing and head of Keen Company. We wish him luck in his new ventures. Our next show is May 17th. I'm just giving you titles. All the details you'll find on the Facebook page. And if you go to our YouTube page, you'll find a 44-minute press conference of Sailor Moon, which is so cool. So here it goes. Minority, Rheology, Grief Camp, Japan Night, Japan Parade, Running of the Red Bulls honoring John Douglas Thompson, a Hotsy Totsy Burlesque, The End of All Flesh is back. J2 Spotlight's doing Zorba and Drat That Cat. Speaking of Lenny, with Compton Green, Encores is doing Wonderful Town right now. And at the Marc O'Donnell Theater is Company. And again, all this will be on the Facebook page. Go to 59th 59th Street. All the plays there are good.